Hello and welcome to Back at the Net and Beyond, where today I'm going to be speaking to Paul Rachubka, who's a former professional footballer who played for Man United, Leeds and England at youth level. How you doing, Paul?
Good, thanks. You all right?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. How's life at the moment? How's life? Is it okay?
Yeah, it's good. It's
Yeah.
it is what it is at the moment. It's a bit strange for everyone. So I'm trying to make the most of it. I think that's what all you can do, really, isn't it? You can sit and sulk and go into your shell and stay stuck in your home, or you can try and take an advantage and use it to do the things that everyone's put on their to-do list and always leaves to the last minute, I think. So I've
Yeah,
knocked
that's
a couple of them off
Yeah.
over the last couple of months. But
What was on your list? Gardening, interior
I,
designs.
well, a little bit like that. I did a bit of decorating, done a project, but I made sourdough bread, which was
Okay.
it's one of those things that, being from America and going back there, I'd always buy sourdough bread. I thought, right, let's try
Okay.
and make it. And I spent 7 days making whatever the starter is for it. So you make it from scratch. And then I made one loaf of bread. It was really nice. But
Yeah.
then just that was it. That was it gone. So,
Yeah. Wow.
but I think a lot of people did stuff like that during when you first start. You got those enthusiasm for the lockdown.
Absolutely.
And the weather's nice and you get out. Now it's more back to normal. It rains and everyone's fed up of being stuck in the house.
That's it. Well, firstly, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate your time. As I mentioned before, and kind of anyone that's new that's listening to the podcast, it's basically a chance for me to speak to athletes, current athletes, former athletes, figures within the game, figures within sport organisations, mainly about transitioning from sport for athletes, transferable skills. Just because, in terms of awareness, I don't think there's enough out there, both from an athlete's point of view and also industry leaders and organisations as well. So hopefully by me doing the podcast, we'll give people more insight in terms of obviously career in sport, but also mainly the transferable skills that athletes do have and how they've made the transition as well. So yeah, thanks for coming on. In terms of you then, obviously you used to be a goalkeeper. For those of the listeners that don't know, Paul used to be a goalkeeper, specialist position. People normally say you need to be crazy to be a goalkeeper. Probably find out at the end of the podcast whether that's true or not. But in terms of yourself, as a youngster, were you always involved in sport?
Yeah, it was. I don't know if I was a late person to football. I played every sport growing up. So I played baseball out in the States before I moved over, Little League, and then kind of lacrosse, cricket, tennis, basketball, football, and didn't really start playing for a team till I was 10.
Okay.
And I think one of the things I look back on, I think I played my first game. I tried to play left wing coming inside on my right foot.
Yeah.
Like you do. And we ended up drawing 5-5, and I was like, I could do better in goal. And went in the next game. And I think we won 1-0 or drew 1-1 or something like that. And literally off the back of that game, I got scouted for Stockport County.
Okay.
And Stockport County were a football league team at the time.
Yeah.
So they'll come down and train with us and see, we'll have a look at you. And then in the meantime, City came along and said, look, come and have trials with us. They were the bigger team at the time. And it was all so quick. And within probably 6 or 7 weeks, I'd been rejected by City, gone to Oldham and trained at Boundary Park on the AstroTurf pitch. Was dead excited because you got given a ball when you signed for him. But you had to bring the trainer, proper mitre football. Like when they were like, as a 10-year-old, like, that's like a real football. Not one of these flyaway ones. Which is so I was getting dead excited about that, and then so my mum couldn't get me to Oldham, but one of my teammates was going to United, and it was Brian Kidd at the time said, we come down and train and come down with this other lad, and the other dad can bring you down and you can come and train with us. And literally got a goalkeeper coach straight away. And so I never had time to kind of develop any bad habits.
Yeah.
I just got coached. I got coached from the start. And I think at that time in our generation, there wasn't goalkeeper coaches. There wasn't, I think United, to have one at academy, it just happened to be an ex goalkeeper who was part of the community, who'd come in and coach and was around the cliff and would take the goalkeepers, and it was kind of like a unique situation. I mean, at Stockport County, they just put the goalkeepers in the corner, so kick the ball against the wall and catch it. That was what you're doing, and we need you for a game, we'll come over. Yeah. But say it's come a long way since then with the academies, but that's how I got started straight into it. And I was, you could play for anyone. There was no restrictions. And then come 14, and it was like, right, you need to pick a sport, because I was doing something every single night. And it's funny, you have conversations like, since you go back, and I speak to a lot of players who have had a long career in the game and ask them certain questions, or you're around them that often, and you notice that the ones who hang around are good at everything. Like they'll be good at pool, table tennis, all the other golf. They'll just pick it up and have a go at it, and get really competitive with it. And it's just I think Sir Alex looked for stuff like that. He wanted to know if you're a good all rounder rather than just being solely focused on football, because I think he saw that as a good indicator of how adaptable you were. So it's one of my researches into the life of being a footballer from some of the studies I've done later on in my career. But that's how it all got started. So straight into the deep end.
Right. And so you were born in America, if my memory serves me right. What age did you come over to England then?
So I came over when I was 7, so I was kind of like grew up over in England, hence the English accent and not the American accent. And playing for England youth team, and very much my life is in England, and go back to America every now and again. But very, very English and part of growing up here.
Good stuff. So obviously, you moved at the age of 7, which is very, very young. So your family uprooted you and you came over to England. How was that process for you? Obviously leaving friends and probably leaving certain parts of your family as well, and coming to a completely new country, different culture.
It's just what it is. I think as kids you're adaptable, aren't you? That's the way it is. You don't really get a choice in it. Came over to Stockport and got settled in, went to school, you get new friends from school, and say some were, my closest friends were into lacrosse, others, and then as I start getting into football and you go out at break and play time and you're, dead happy to get the football if someone's not kicked it over or kicked it out the field, and or it's been popped. But you kind of got into it, and say it's a bigger sport, and it was, Manchester's very, got a lot of teams around it, and like you say, the teams I named, Stockport, Oldham, United, City. I think I've played for most of them around here now anyway.
So in terms of your career, let's talk about kind of when things started to get, say, less serious for yourself, in terms of, right, I can make something of myself, I can have a sustainable career in football. And that started at Man United. So what was it like for you to obviously represent Man United as a youngster?
So when you go 1 year pro at 18, and I couldn't get a game. It was crazy. We had so many keepers at the club, and I had a great education, come through from 14s, 15s, 16s, and we had a goalie coach on a Monday morning. We'd come in, and from 15 years old, so I'd go in on a Monday morning from school. Rather than go to school, I'd come in and train.
Okay.
on a Monday morning. And this is before phones and social media and everything going on. And
Mm.
we've done a deal with the school that I had to go in and I could come back and do my lessons in the afternoon and catch up on the lessons I missed. So I go in, and then come Christmas time, all the youth team lads have been giving it off. Uh,
Okay.
and I ended up going in just before Christmas, and they wanted to do 11v11. So I trained and warmed up with the goalies, and then ended up playing right wing for the second 11. But
Okay.
this is the team, the squad that went on to win the treble.
Oh wow.
So it was like I remember I was playing in this team, and I ended up playing right wing, not left wing, but right wing. So I gone all full circle, and
Yeah.
I whipped a cross in, and that was the only thing I did in the whole game. But we scored from it. I was dead happy. Come back in, absolutely shattered, massive come down. And my mate's like, "What have you just done this afternoon? Or where have you been this morning?"
Yeah.
I was like, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you what
Mm.
I'd done, what I've been doing." And they didn't. And no one like kind of knew what was going on because you couldn't prove it.
Yeah.
Or what was that? And your mates are like, "Yeah, good one." You just keep having days off and going into train. And I was going with the youth team to sit on the bench for
Mm.
them. And yeah, it was kind of like being around that team. They always wanted to do shooting. They always needed a keeper. So from the age of 15, the first, when you would go in, the first team thought I was a first year when I was 15. So
Okay.
when I actually officially started my apprenticeship, they thought I was a second year. And being a big lad, I didn't really
Yeah.
agree with them because you know no one, it's like being a first year. You get treated very well, don't you?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get all the best jobs being a first year. But yeah, I couldn't get a game though. So I was training with the first team, doing shooting practice, and the first team are doing brilliant, but couldn't get a game in the B team. And thought, well, okay. I think I played 6 games for the B team in the first year. Went in, see the youth team manager, goes, "Look, what's going on? I'm going to play." He goes, "Mate, we don't know. We'll try and get you some more game time."
Mm.
Second year, didn't play any more games,
Mm.
and it was just like, well, they give me a 1 year pro, but I was playing more games for the England youth setup. I was playing under 16s for England, under 17s, under 18s, and getting more games for them than I was at United. And I got offered a 1 year pro and wasn't happy because it's like, well, it's not a brilliant deal,
Mm.
but I want to know what's going to happen because if I'm not going to be making a career out of it, I'll carry on with my studies because did quite well at school and
Yeah.
done rather than doing leisure and tourism, I'd done like a GMVQ business and a Maths A level, which gave me enough points to get into uni or
Okay.
enough credits to get into uni. And I was looking at scholarships in the States. So I knocked on Ferguson's door and said, "Look, boss, I'm not happy. I think I deserve something better.
Yeah.
I'm playing in the England team." And he's like, "Well, you're not in my reserves, but if you get in my reserves regularly, I'll give you a proper deal and look after you."
Mm.
So, right, I'll delay it for a year. I was literally going to go to the States and just say, "No, I'll delay it for a year, see what happens." And
Mm.
worst case, I'll just be a year behind everyone
Yeah.
at uni. So, come New Year's Eve before the millennium,
Mm.
get a phone call going at like 8 o'clock in the morning. The goalie coach laughing, Tony Cohen laughing down the phone, going, "You need to get yourself in training. We need a keeper." All the lads have been giving it off. Didn't
Yeah.
say anything else. Says, because he'd do this every Sunday morning. He'd phone me up Sunday mornings and say, "Come in and train. We need a keeper." And
Mm.
just start laughing on the phone and knowing that I'd literally have to jump out of bed and get there within 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'd have a five-a-side, and then an hour later you're done. So it's like, okay, I'll do that. See what happens. And anyway, got there. The lads are all out running around the pitch warming up. So it's a walk of shame across the pitch to
Yeah.
the goalie coach. And it's like, no. And he stood on the farthest corner of the pitch next to Sir Alex. So he made me walk all the way across the pitch.
Oh
And he
wow.
goes, "You're late, son," like he does.
Mm.
I was like, "Sorry, boss." I'm waiting for Tony Cohen to say something like, he just called me 15 minutes ago and I live like 20 minutes away.
Yeah,
You know, and I'm thinking, he's going to back me up here. And he's going to say, and he goes, nah. And he goes, right, your punishment is you got to bring me tea and toast every morning. I was like, okay, boss, but like, you know, it's going to be pretty hard because I'm not here.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, you're traveling. You come into Brazil with us.
Oh,
We're
wow.
flying on the 2nd, so behave yourself tonight. And we're flying on the 2nd. I'm like, wow. You know, that's, you know, couldn't play in the A team, B team.
Yeah,
You know, and next, traveling with the first team to Brazil. Like, where's all the keepers gone? So a couple of lads have gone on loan above me, and I'm there on the plane going out, third choice keeper to Brazil on the time when we didn't play in the FA Cup, and it was just just kind of crazy times from the moment we landed in Brazil to being, you know, on the Maracanã playing. Being on the Copacabana beach and kind of training at the training grounds, it being dead hot, and then the Maracanã Stadium, we're playing in the last game, and 10 minutes to go, get a shout, you're coming on, go get ready.
Wow.
And the place is absolutely bouncing. There's like 80 odd thousand Vasco fans in there because they're the game on afterwards, and we're playing South Melbourne. And I come on, touched the ball once, I think threw it out to Beckham, and we won 2-0, and I made my debut for Man United. And you're thinking, just crazy times, and what you dream about, and then you know people dream about playing in the FA Cup final, and then all of a sudden you're making your debut in the World Club Championships with the team that just won the treble, and it's just kind of like, you know, downhill from there, I guess.
Nah, that's crazy, and that's a mad story. For the simple fact that it shows how things can change, not only in life, but especially in sport, football more so. 1 minute you're kind of not even in the B team you mentioned, and then you got a call saying to come in, and the next minute you're training with the first team, and then secondly you're making your debut, all in the space of a few days. So you've gone from probably rock bottom, thinking what's going on here, maybe thinking you may need to leave, to then making your debut in the first team. So you must have been really excited during that period. How did it make you feel making your debut? What was going through your head?
It was really surreal because we say we're not. There's nothing you could ever imagine. I didn't expect to come on. It was just like, you know, it just happened that quickly, and I think they wanted it to be like that. And then literally we flew home private jet straight after all the boys we got on a plane, flew back together, back to Manchester from Rio after it, and then the following day I played for the B team in like at the Cliff in it, you know, behind closed doors game, and you're like, you know, from one extreme to the other, and just, you know, seeing how you cope with stuff like that. And I suppose that's, you know, the way the boss was. You know, he made sure you stay grounded and didn't get too carried away, and, you know, keep working hard. And, you know, the main thing I took from all that was, look, go and work hard. If you get your chance, make sure you're ready. And, you know, I made sure I was ready when the times came, and you never know when that's going to happen. And say I had a few other appearances, and it was fantastic. I think I've got the one of the best records. It's something like 103 minutes and never conceded a goal. So
That's
it's
amazing.
something that comes up. And so at the time, you're disappointed that you've not played more games and you've had to leave and things like that. And I look back at it now, and you put your highlights together. Like when you put your CV together, you know, that's the first thing that goes down. It's like, oh, you played for Man United, and it's not something I really tell people. It tends to come up every now and again, and it's weird when it comes up. You never expect it, and, you know, I don't see myself as one of them to a certain extent, but I've enjoyed the camaraderie of being part of that group, and it's great to catch up with them every now and again, and say you see them and do all that. But it was a great time to be at the club and be part of all that. And like you say, I had to move on to play, and it was one of those things. As a goalkeeper, you're playing or you're not, and there's no in between with it. And I wanted to go out and prove myself.
That's it. I mean, for those that don't know, goalkeeper, as I mentioned before, is a specialist position. So you can be a really, really good keeper like yourself and find yourself number two for most of your career, if not all of it, or even number three. And there's so many good keepers that I've come across or that people are aware of who are playing at the higher echelons of football who have just been number twos and number threes. And it doesn't mean to say they're not good goalkeepers. It's just that there's only one position that you can play, and that's it. As an outfield player, you can kind of maybe play one or two, well, two or three different positions, and that's how you get your chance. So obviously, it must have been frustrating for you because growing up, me personally, I was already aware of you. I was always aware because we're the same age group, so I was always aware of kind of yourself. But at the same time, you probably could have played a lot more games through whatever reason. Obviously, we touched on the specialist position. And you played for many, many clubs, and a lot of people outside of football may not know who you are. But that doesn't mean to say you weren't a good goalkeeper. For me, I always remember, like I said, you played for England and you're at United and things. So I was always fully aware of who you were and obviously your ability. But how did it make you feel, kind of maybe being number two sometimes, or maybe going on loan and not playing as many games as you'd have liked and things like that? Because from a mental perspective, you're probably thinking, well, I should be playing, and you're getting frustrated. I was personally, even if I was maybe not in the best of form and I was on the bench, I'd still think, I want to be playing. So how did it make you feel?
I think I'm a very calm person. Like, I'm not saying I'm a calm person, because it's not probably true. I'm very steady. I don't get too high, don't get too low.
Yeah.
And when you're not playing, it's a job. When you are playing, it's great fun and you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways to, to think about it and how you deal with it. And for me, I think I must have been involved well over 1,000 games, and played half of them. And I didn't expect to go 20 years. That was my last. I didn't expect that to happen at all. To be doing 20 pre-seasons, definitely not after my first one. But no, I was never good at running. That's why I played in goal in the first place, I think. But it's come a long way, pre-seasons and stuff like that, and they look after you a bit more now, which I guess helped my longevity. But no, I got told early doors different things. It stuck in my head was like the average career is 6 years. And so I'm thinking, well, okay, if I can get 6 years, then I'm going to do something else. And even if I play till I'm 35, it means I still got 35 years of something else afterwards.
Yep.
And that was my thought process. It's like football's great, but it's going to stop. It's guaranteed to stop. And you look at Teddy Sheringham, Ryan Giggs getting to the 40s, you're thinking, Buffon going, he's going to be 42, 43, playing and stuff. And that's, the extremes. But even then, they've still got another 20 years to do something, and you're out. And like, it's funny, we meet I meet a lot of players in all over the world now, and you'll just be sat going to events or doing stuff or coming across them, and they don't need to work. They're financially they're sorted, but they want, money wise, but they want something interesting to do. And you don't just switch off after getting to where you got football wise and being competitive. You can't just turn that button off and go, right, I'm not gonna want to be the best at something else now. It doesn't just happen. Do you know what I mean? We go back to the start of the podcast and go, well, I loved every sport and I wanted to master every sport. It's just I got told to pick one at 14. It happened to be football, and that was what I chose and what I was doing well at the time. Who's to know that it could have been something else at that time when the decision had to be made. And that's like, right, I knew that I'll be wanting to do something, and you put in those traits that you develop playing. The education that I got at United off Sir Alex in terms of discipline, being on time, how you present yourself, don't make the same mistake twice. You can make mistakes, just don't make the same mistake twice, and learn quickly, and be respectful to how you think and how you treat people, and compete every single day. And that was a fantastic education, because every club, I think the biggest difference at the time was every day was a match day at United. You did it at match pace. And when you went to, you might be short, it might be half an hour, it might be 40 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour, but it'd be done at match tempo, and you come off the pitch tired, but everyone's doing everything at 100 mile an hour. So when you come to play Saturday, it's probably easier, because the second 11 at United was probably better than half the teams in the Premier League at the time, and hence why they could sustain what they were doing. Whereas you go to another club, and the starting 11 are brilliant, but they literally work that hard on a Saturday. They can't produce that throughout the week to do that, and that was a different mentality. And you're thinking, okay, I've got to adapt to that kind of players, and there's lots of things that I worked out when I was playing that I knew that I didn't want to do. I didn't want to play lower leagues. I didn't want to be a goalie coach, because I just don't think they were going to be suitable avenues for the way I wanted to do things, because you've got to deal with people in different environments. And I don't think I could have, stayed level-headed like I did in my football career, because if you do, I wouldn't say football's fair, but if you're around and you're doing well, you're going to get a chance, and you should be able to keep that chance. I'm not sure that necessarily applies, for as well as stuff in, say, goalkeeper coaching at professional clubs, or playing lower leagues, because there's lots of different agendas going on. And if the manager gets sacked, the goalie coach usually gets sacked now. So it seems to be a team process, which I think kind of worked out early doors. That was going to be hard to deal with, more than just being a goalkeeper as well.
I'm assuming you were still at United when Luke Chadwick was there. Is that right?
Yeah. Chadwick was my idea. So.
Yeah, because I had him on the podcast before, and obviously I wanted to get an insight into what it was like to train with the players at Man United. And obviously when you were there, Ryan Giggs, Beckham, Scholes, the Neville brothers, Roy Keane, Wes Brown, to name a few. So, I mean, to turn up every day in the dressing room with those players, listening to how they talk, watching how they carry themselves, obviously training with them on the pitch, and you mentioned the high tempo, match tempo every day, day in, day out, without failure. What was it like, kind of, for you as a youngster in that environment?
For me, I really enjoyed it, because, say, shooting practice every day was with Andy Cole, Dwight York, Ollie Solskjaer, Teddy Sheringham, and before you start bringing in the likes of the other strikers that were around. I think I remember Ruud van Nistelrooy turning up to his first training session. He hit a volley from 10 yards, and they took my head off. He kicked it that fast.
Really?
But it was great times, and like you say, you had to come in, and everyone was treated the same regardless, and they had some just really good habits of what they wanted to do, and so that they just knew that they can keep going and be faster, be quicker, and do things like brilliant basics. They did all the basics right. Everyone did all the basics right, and at a good tempo. And over 90 minutes, that's gonna give you rewards, because that everyone's on their game every single game, and so everyone wanted to come and beat you, and you kind of have to have that mentality. And it was great to be part of and see, but people don't realize it was every single day. There was no days off. It's not like Sunday, Wednesdays off that you get the whole leagues. You'd work 3 months straight, and that was the way it was. There was no international breaks at the time and stuff like that, and players are going all the way through, and you're seeing them every single day. So it's not like it is now. Well, I suppose like the first teams in the Premier League do go through every single day, and the days are getting a bit longer. But it was really intense. But that's all I knew. that was the way it was, and that was the way life was, and
Yeah.
it was it was great growing up in that environment. So like you say, you know about each other when you're young, and I think Chaddy came through with us. We had a number of other players, Wes Brown, who I went out to India with
Yeah.
a couple of years back and finished up, and say you just catch up. I spoke to like Chaddy, I not spoke to him for a number of years, and you just catch up and get back into that groove because
Yeah.
you spent so much time together. So it's so intense, and you're in that environment, and it was it's great to be part of.
Must have been a massive learning experience for you. In terms of touching on your career still, I mentioned at the top of the show that you represented England at youth level. So how did it feel for you, like putting on the England shirt?
It was a great honour. It was a fantastic experience, and like you say, for the time, I couldn't get a game at United, but I could play in England team. But it was tough competition. We had a strong age group. I mean, Stuart Taylor was. I was in '81, but I think Stuart was 80, and they changed it that I think the year or two before to go off years rather than September. So we ended up having Matt Murray, Chris Kirkland, and Stephen Bywater as our four keepers. So you look at the standard that it was about for that, and it's going back and doing my coaching badges. The England coaches at the time now are all coach educators back at St George's, and you still get talked about by them, and they love bringing up how we were all different, but we've all gone on to have long careers. I mean, Matt, unfortunately, with his knees, had to retire before he wanted to, and so Steve Bywater's just retired, I think, last year, or I don't want to retire him. That'd be a bit harsh. But he's not carried on. But no, it was it was brilliant just going away, working with them, working with all the other players. We had what you saw. We had lots of players come through that team and go on to have brilliant careers. And say it's great seeing them all now, and say a few managers and doing other things, and it's funny just catching up with them every now and again as everyone goes a different ways. And obviously you think, oh, they'll be a good manager, and they have become a good manager and stuff like that, as you do, and discuss who's going to do what, and what people are going to, and it's nice seeing the lads again. So, and like say it was I think we ended up out in Nigeria 99 for the World Youth Cup, which was an unbelievable experience. So I think at one point I was going to a different country, either with United or with England every month. It was like
really,
my mum was taking me to the airport. Right, where are you going this month? Where are you going next? Wow. So I left the airport. Why? Where are you going? And it was just great. It was great fun. So I really enjoyed traveling, and it was all part of the thing to see all these stadiums and different countries and just play against different people and see the different cultures. For me, that's something that I really enjoyed.
Good stuff. And obviously, so we're going to touch on kind of retirement and the process for yourself. So you've gone through your career, and you've played for United and played for Leeds, and you've gone on loan to various teams, Royal Antwerp. You've sustained a massive career. I think you mentioned 20 years, which that's so long. People don't realise how hard it is to become a professional footballer, and then not only become one, but to sustain it for a period of time. So well done for doing that. But in terms of retirement, then, what was the process for you? Was there a point where you kind of not woke up one day, but was there like a trigger point that made you think, right, it's time for me to leave now? Or did you just make that transition? Like, was it smooth for you? Were you doing something whilst you were playing and then you transitioned out of the game, or what was the process?
My transition was, I think, took a long time in the making, but and I'm very happy with what I've transitioned into. and how it's gone. If you turned around to me and said, "This is what's going to happen," then I would have snapped your hand off. But it didn't always feel like that, which I think, you talk about the clubs that I went to. I was at Leeds, where I had a disastrous time and ended up going to Accrington on loan. We were bottom of the Football League, and so from going from playing in the World Club Championship to the bottom of the Football League and everywhere in between, it's been a vast experience. And say I planned, kind of like planned. Always had a plan B. I thought, right, at Blackpool, I started doing an open uni degree.
Okay.
Which I really enjoyed. It was a part-time degree. It took me 6 years to do. Just thought, well, it was environmental science, which is how to get the most out of your environment.
Okay.
Which helped me as a footballer. It helped me as a goalkeeper. It understood why clubs are set up, how they're set up, and practices you can put in place to get the most. And I wrote a lot about elite athletes and how they train and stuff like that. And really enjoyed it because I was, it was helping me be a better footballer, and I knew that it would help me afterwards. I wasn't doing it for afterwards, but it was kind of like I knew it would give me a little bonus.
Yeah.
If I don't finish it, I'll know I'll only have like a year or two. I'll be getting a head start on getting a degree and maybe doing something else, because I'll be starting again from zero, because I don't want to be I don't want to be a goalkeeper coach, and I'll be needing to prove that I can read and write to a high level. That's what I thought. Well, that's what it'll do.
Yeah.
So I did that, got that, really enjoyed it, and then ended up 33. I ended up signing for Oldham as a number 2. And I ended up working with Bobby Mims, who was Matt Murray's goalkeepers coach at Wolves. And Bobby had gone to Oldham, and it was like Matt was like always talked about how good Bobby was as a goalkeeper coach, and we'd met over the years. So never so we knew each other, and I was like, Bobby, I haven't got a club. Can I come down and train with you? Just because I want to train with you, because Matt said how good you are. And ended up training with him, just keeping fit and waiting for a club to come in for me, thinking I've been in the Championship last year. It won't be a problem. I'll get a club. And if not, Oldham might want me or someone. And Oldham turned around and said, look, we're happy with our number 1. And, if you want to take them, we're going to sign this young lad as number 2. But if you want it, you can have it. It's not a great deal, but it's not, I don't want to be like cheeky and say, look, this is, it's there if you want it. It's your choice to turn down, and I'm happy for you to turn it down. And it was at the point where I was speaking to all my network, and I've been networking for a number of years. I'm one of these people that I didn't tell people what I did, but I'd always ask them, I'd always talk to them and deflect it back onto them, or why are you here? What are you doing that? And because I think, I've met some amazing people, and there's loads of massive United fans, and just got told to go and meet people, and ended up meeting a couple consultancy firms, the big 4 consultancy firms, and just chatting to them about what would be needed to do stuff. And I had a really good conversation with one of the companies, and they're like, look, you can come on our graduate scheme if you want, but it's going to be 7 till 7 for 3 years. Monday to Friday, 7 in the morning till 7 at night for 3 years, but you'll get your professional qualification from it. And it was on the table at 33, and I was like, do I want to make that change yet? I can earn more money doing that than I can do playing as a number 2 at Oldham, because it wasn't a great deal.
Yeah.
Well, I said, tongue out cheek, I said, well, if we get someone in the FA Cup at Oldham, because Oldham don't have any money, if we get a Premier League team in the FA Cup, will you double the wage and back pay me and give me, a decent deal to the end of the season? And he goes, go on then, yeah. So I thought, well, I'll put this job on hold till January, and I'll see who we get in the FA Cup. So we got Liverpool in the FA Cup, didn't we? So it worked out. We ended up getting Liverpool, and we got absolutely walloped at Anfield. And but I got my deal sorted, so it carried on for another year. I thought, okay. And I'm speaking to people about jobs and what you're doing. And it was funny. When I was in contract, everyone would meet me for a
Yeah.
coffee. No problem. Come and have a coffee. Let's have a chat about what you want to do. See how we can help each other. And I've listened to a couple of your podcasts, and I've listened to a lot of people talk about transition and how footballers are scared to ask for help and stuff like that. And I'm not one of the, I'm more than going, well, if they say no, they say no. What's the issue? But if they say yeah, brilliant. And I can't tell you how many people say yeah. And it's just interesting to get a footballer in the building and have a chat with them. That, it works both ways. It's not just like your way. It works both ways. That it's nice to have you in and see people and see what's going on. So I've got this job on the going, well. It sounds interesting. Do I want to do it? Or do I want to carry on playing football? And anyway, stayed at Oldham, signed another year at Oldham because he put his hand in his pocket and gave me a decent deal. And then it ended up signing for Bolton. And while I was waiting to sign for Bolton, I applied for a job at Adidas.
Okay.
And that was handling the players' contracts. And I full intention to carry on playing because I done well again in League One, and Bolton were after a number 2. So I thought, right, that'll be a nice little deal in a championship. Not going to play, but carry on for another year, and I'll get to 35 because you get your pension at 35, and things will be nice and smooth. And worst case, I'll take my pension. So anyway, I applied for this job, got an interview, and I don't know if you ever had a telephone interview. I'd never had one before.
No.
And they phoned me up like, can we phone you back in 2 weeks to go through interview you by telephone? I was like, oh, I can do it now if you want. Like no idea what was going on. No, what a telephone interview requires, or what you're supposed to do. What you're supposed to prepare for those people who don't know, and I didn't know, and just absolutely waffled, like answers. Didn't know what the job would entail. Didn't know. I knew a lot about the company from I was sponsored by him back at the early part of my career, and they've always sent me boots and stuff like that. And I thought, well, I know all the players who you endorse, and I played with the majority of them, and we'll be fine. So anyway, I got my feedback from my telephone interview, and he failed miserably. And I was like, oh right, thanks. So one of my network were like, how come you didn't get the job? And I was like, oh, it was awful. And he goes, you would have been really good at that job. And it was handling all the players' contracts and making sure they were wearing the boots, they were at commercial days, and you basically had to go into the training grounds and sort out any problems. And the head office was in Stockport, which was great for me. So you go in there one day a week, and the rest of the time you're on the road watching football, playing, be at training grounds, and just carrying on kind of like similar to what you're doing without having to dive around after the ball. So I thought, great. And the guy's going, no, I'll phone up and find out what went wrong. And they phoned up and he said, there's 600 people applied for that job. They give interviews, telephone interviews to 4. And they promoted the guy who was doing the youth team on because he knew the systems inside out and was the best candidate for the job. And but his job's available now, so why don't you go and make a, they've told me that you can have another go at it. Looking after the 14 to 19-year-olds. And I was like, that's great, I'll go in and do that. So I did all my presentation, got it all ready, and then signed for Bolton in the meantime. And they're like, come in on Monday, do it. And our game got changed to Monday Night Football. It's like, I can't go and do it now.
Oh, no way.
Well, I ended up doing it the Tuesday, and did all right, but they were umming and ahhing, and they wanted me to finish football and do it if I was going to do it. But it was a real eye-opener in terms of the competition that's out there for jobs and what you want to do and how you want to do it. And it made me realize that this isn't going to be an easy process, and applying for jobs and going down that way. But from my network and reaching out, if I'd reached out to the guy before the interview and he told me, who knew the guys that were going to be my bosses and all that,
Mm.
I could have got a better insight. And I'm thinking, well, if I was playing a team on a Saturday, I would have gone and seen what they'd done the previous 2 weeks. I would have seen who the star players were, what they were good at, and then I would have prepared and practiced and done stuff. And I'm thinking, I didn't apply any of that to getting a job, for that, and could really see myself doing that for a long time, that kind of job. So I'm thinking, God, those are great skills that you do in football, and you get taught how to do them. And you look at how you're doing your performance, you analyze it, and then you go, right, I need to improve here, and there, and kind of, I won't do that again, and take that into the next game. And I think I should start treating my interviews better, and doing stuff like that. And say I started applying for more jobs on the back of that, because it's like, well, I need to find out how these things happen, and they're very, very similar to what's going on. Every firm, everyone's got a HR department. If you want to work for a large firm, then that's those are key things that you've got to understand. And say, like, from writing your CV it's got football on it and no work experience, but it gets you in the door. 600 people applied, they saw my CV and gone, well, okay, that's interesting. We'll get him in just to see what he says. And obviously I probably entertained him on that first telephone interview, because they're going, what's he going on about? It was definitely a steep learning curve with that. And but fortunately for me, I played for Bolton, and then it ended up going out to India, and it was just amazing time out there playing in the ISL. And it was it kind of connected up, because Rennie Mullerstein was a manager. We had Wes Brown go out. Berbatov came out, so it's the chairman out there of the Blasters, was a big United fan, and really connected us back to the club and built up my social media profile and stuff like that, being out there. So that was amazing. And when I was out there, I was spending a lot of time going, well, this is nice, but it's coming to an end, and preparing for getting a proper job, what I call it. And while I was out there, I spoke to a few people, and ended up coming back and speaking to a guy at EY, Ernst & Young, and they got an athlete transition program that they were developing, and they wanted to me to come in and give me a bit of work experience.
Okay.
But the problem was, it was down in London. So now I'm based in Manchester. That was one of my key things about getting a proper job. I'm not moving down to London. And he said, look, you've done really well, and we want you to stay and help develop and deliver this program. And so it was a real, it was one of them. It was really good in terms of understanding how a big organisation works. But I've reached out to a lot of ex-professional footballers who've gone on to have another career, another successful career. And to me, they've gone on about professional qualifications, and I wasn't getting my professional qualification. And that was one of the key messages that came across. It was that, and look, to be a footballer, it was 8 years in the making. I signed for United at 10 and didn't play till I was 18. So if you can do that in half the time, if you can do that in 4 years, then you're ahead of the curve. So it's a different mindset, thinking I'm going to come out the game and get a proper job and be happy with it straight away. So that was really interesting, speaking to them, and say they were dead keen to meet me as well. They were like, let anytime, call me, give me a phone call, ask me any questions. And I still speak to a lot of them today. Just drop them a text every now and again. Look, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And dead happy to get involved. And say any players that want to text me or ask me about it, I'm happy to respond to it. It's not, you sit there as a player going, oh, I'm mithering them. I'm going to be, annoying them, or they're not going to reply, or But I found that was rarely the case, and everyone's like happy to hear off you, and keen to hear what you're doing, and how how they can help you. And say it was what what led me to doing what I want to do today, which was I wanted to do a graduate scheme and become an accountant.
Okay.
So it and it was funny. I was speaking to someone last week, and they're like, "Why do you want to be that?" And I was like, "Well, in my team, we do the tax returns for 200 footballers, and I'm an ex-pro, and there's no other accountancy firm in the country that I know of that's got that team that has that kind of clientele." So, and we support the players for their image right deals or contract deals, and we specialize in making sure that everything's planned and done properly and complies properly with the with HMRC, and making sure that they can I call it support the circle of trust, because at the top part of the game now, the players, the brands, and they have to have people around them, because the they can't just let anyone in. They've got to have their gatekeepers, because you do anything now, and it's it's a story, or it causes problems. So the players have to be so careful with what they do, and we help facilitate and make that a bit more comfortable for them.
I'm glad you touched on like your networking in the circle and the people that you've reached out to, because that's one thing that I've kind of tried to portray in the podcast as well. Because I know a lot of players, as you mentioned before, they're scared of upsetting people, or scared of maybe people thinking they're bothering them or pestering them, and it's not the case. And similar for me, and I've said this many times before, where I just reach out to people and ask them if they want to come on the podcast, and for the most part, every person I get on, there's a bunch of people that haven't responded to me, and that doesn't mean they're being rude. People are busy. People sometimes don't read the message or whatever. So I just keep it moving, basically. And like I said, I'm not afraid to ask for anything. Same situation with yourself. I just approached you, and obviously we had a chat on the phone, and you decided to come on, which is great. So for me, a massive message to anyone listening is just to speak to people, network, especially if you're a player or an athlete who's currently still involved in sport. Use your network, because sometimes you don't realize how big your network is. 6 degrees of separation. So normally you know someone who knows someone who knows someone, and that can lead to something. So I'm really glad that you touched on that, because it's an important message. In terms of your transferable skills, what have you taken from sport? So what have you taken from football in terms of transferable skills to what you're doing now?
I think one of the things that I will say is that, like you say, you do get a lot of no's, and like I don't know how other people would take it, but I've had like 30,000 people boo me and have a go at me, and so someone saying no to me, why is that an issue?
Yeah.
Realistically, in the grander scheme of things, and like you say, you're going to get those no's, and as a footballer, you have that thicker skin, and you have that competitive edge, and that drive, that fuels me to be better. And I don't think I always see that from other people, or the general public. Someone says no to them, and they might not respond in a positive way. That discipline, that hard work, that drive to carry on are all transferable skills. And say for me, in the team I'm in, we're in a high performance environment. We have to do what we say we're going to do, and I like that. And to get the work done, because we're in a regulated industry, so we have to do it properly and we have to do it well. And that's what I want to be part of. I don't want to be on my own doing stuff, because I've worked in teams and really enjoy working in teams. And you're constantly working on different jobs with different people, and I think one of my transfers was I can assess people's strengths, what they're good at straight away, and how to encourage people and motivate them, and make sure that we're all pulling together, because part of my skill as a goalkeeper was putting people in the right places at the right times, and that's what I'm trying to build upon, and get my network together to look. Yeah, I want to support people in the sports industry. I want to help the lads, the footballers, to to have more of that pot of money at the end of their career, to have more choices, to do what they want to do, and give them better, not better advice, but give them better options to carry on being competitive, and using those skills that they picked up in their career to use them elsewhere. And a lot of the lads are very entrepreneurial, and I think one of the main things that we see on a regular basis is that lads want to set up their own companies and go with their own ideas, whether that's through social media or using their profile in a way to raise money or do charitable causes or have another career. And if you do things right in your football career, then that makes things a lot easier afterwards, and setting things up in the right way from an early age. We're talking from an academy age with the players, that those options become a lot bigger, a lot more scope, and a lot less risky if you do it in the right way. And that's what that's what I enjoy helping players with, and seeing that, because it frustrates me when they don't get that transparency, that honesty. That you and I know what it's like in the changing rooms. You get that transparency and that honesty straight away. And I don't always feel that's the case after you leave the changing room or leave the football world. And it's something, to me, it was always about, look, I understand the football language, I understand the football world, but I need to translate that to the people in my team now, and see, look, this is how it works there, and be able to speak their language, and go to them and go, look, this lad wants to do that, or this player wants to do this, or that person's got this commercial deal coming up, and what's the best way? Because if we can help plan that in a better way, and they get to keep 10 more % of that's a lot further on. And I think we talked in a previous conversation, is that the players will earn a lot of their money over 6 to 10 years. Now, for you and I, we could take our pension at 35. The lads can't now. They've got to wait till 55, and it's a long time. And it's how do you balance that out? And there's a lot of people that want to make that easier, that transition easier. And one of the things that can help that is good planning, and having that plan B. And I didn't expect to be an accountant up until about 5 years ago. And if you told me that when I was playing, or if I told people that when I was playing, they would have laughed at me and had a right go at me. But the projects I work on now, I find really interesting. We've worked with some really big clubs, organisations, and we've got one that's coming out that's going to be huge. With, I don't say any more than that, but it's going to be watch this space, and it's going to be mega, that I'm going to be part of it, hopefully. And that's come through accountancy, believe it or not, because you need to know the numbers. But it's just it's something that I enjoy, and I'm not saying it's for everyone. Not the case, but I'm still very much involved in the sporting world, and enjoying it every day. So
good stuff. One question I always ask, or tend to ask, is, do you think more needs to be done for athletes when they're transitioning away from sport?
I think we're getting better, because there's more conversations being had about it. There's more education being delivered about it. The wider support network. in terms of football and how that helps with football. And I'm always going to argue that, you know, if you do well on the pitch, everything else will take care of itself. That's got to be your fully focused. But and I did do that, but I also managed to do an open uni degree. I also managed to network, and you know, I don't think that had a negative impact. In fact, I think it had a massive positive impact on my career. And the more people that do that, you know, how the changing room works, you got people that drive the changing room, and you have people that follow, and you have people that resist change. And the game's, you know, some of our football's always got to change. It's constantly, you've got to keep adapting and improving, because if you stand still, you know, you get relegated. That's what happens in football. So that things are moving, but they're not moving as quick as the football world moves in terms of transition. And my advice would be, you know, you're in charge of your own football career. Why does that still, you know, why does that have to stop when you finish football? Why, you know, why did I not use the stuff that I learned in football when I applied for other jobs? You know, why did it take me so many attempts before I realised, well, that, you know, that system works really well, you know, in terms of planning, preparing and assessing, you know, going out and doing it and reviewing it. And, you know, in terms of what players can do, you know, the players themselves have got to do it. That's the thing. You've got to turn around and say, look, I'm going to spend, and it might just be one call a day, or you know, something one thing a week that's going to help me prepare for life after football. And believe me, it'll change. It'll change every single probably year, or every, you know, as things evolve and your life changes, and you know, things change in your life, then your transition after it will change as well, and you'll still continue to change, because I imagine, you know, a lot of people do a lot of different things. And that's, in my opinion, where you can go wrong. Pick something and do it really, really well. So, you know, people, I'll be a bit of a coach, I'll be a bit of a media punter, I'll do a bit of, you know, business development, or I'll do a bit of motivational speaking. My advice would be to pick one thing and be really good at it, and really focus on it after football. You know, in the meantime, if you're playing, have a look and ask people about what they do and what interests them, because say those conversations, you know, I thought accountants just, you know, did, you know, tax returns and accounts. I didn't think they made, you know, helped influence decisions and you know, budgets, and you know, there's stuff out there. There's like legacy projects for World Cups, and some, you know, some of the things like they do are absolutely amazing. And say every transfer now, you need an accountant involved. The numbers are that big, so there's lots of opportunities. There's lots of different things to do, and say the best place to start is your club, to just ask questions and see what interests you.
Brilliant, mate. Really insightful. Really enjoyed the chat today. And as I mentioned, thanks for coming on. But just to finish, just let everyone know where you're actually working, the name of the company, where we can find you, and obviously where we can find yourself. I know you're not kind of big on social media. You're kind of like me. We had a chat on the phone a couple of weeks ago. You mentioned like you were late on the scene with social media, and you don't really get involved in it. And to be honest, I was the same. And to be honest, I still am now. The only reason I'm really on it is to spread the message, and obviously I've got the podcast as well. So I want as many people to get involved in the podcast as possible, because I really do believe in the message. But yeah, if you can just let people know where you're actually working, the name of the company, and where we can find you on social media.
Yeah, well, on social media, I'm at Paul Rachubka on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, on there. I work for Safri Champness, where I sit in the sports entertainment team, and like we touched on, we help the biggest sporting organisations, clubs, and players with their tax and accounting needs. And so, you know, we specialise in image rights companies and helping them monetize their social media profiles, which helps them, give them a lot of options joining after their career. And we're not just interested in current athletes. We're interested in all sports people because they've got a lot of transferable skills, and we know they'll go on to be a success again.
Exciting stuff, mate. Brilliant. I mean, like I said, really enjoyed your time today. Thanks for coming on. Keep in touch going forward. Obviously, we touched on that when we last spoke on the phone, and we said obviously we'll keep in touch. And good luck with everything you do going forward.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
No problem. See you soon. Thanks, mate. Bye.